Good morning, everyone. We are here for the House Standing Committee on Education. Thank you for joining us this morning, and sorry for starting a little bit late. It's just Wednesday, but not too late. Thank you all for making it, and we will just begin for the day. Thank you to any members who are here today in the gallery or watching us online. And we will introduce the members of the committee and everyone that's helping work today. Our Representative Vice Chair, Representative Sheila Babauta is present. Thank you. Representative Ed Probst is also present. Good morning. And attending via Teams in Rhoda is Representative Donald Manglonia. Absent today is Representative Ralph Umel. He is excused. Short recess. And we're back. Thank you for your patience. We were just fixing a little technical difficulties. Okay, continuing on, attending via Teams in Rhoda is Representative Donald Manglonia. Absent today is Representative Ralph Umel. He is excused, and Danita Yangtamai will be coming in. Representative Danita Yangtamai will be on her way. Thank you to the LB staff present today and assisting us. Legal counsel Joe Tyron. IT and streaming, I guess everybody's helping with that one today. Thank you all. Our legislative assistant, Cameron Nicholas, and our Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Dennis Regis, Sergeant. So our meeting today is, we do have a quorum. We have 4 members present. And so I call this meeting to order. I would like to ask for a motion to adopt the agenda. There was a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The ayes have it, and this agenda is adopted. Next up on our agenda is the adoption of minutes. We had a meeting on June 18th, 2021. You've all received your email that had these minutes. I'll give you a few moments to review it. And once you're ready, I'll accept a motion to adopt minutes from June 18th. Unless there are changes to be made. Yes, ma'am. We have a motion. It was seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Next up on our agenda is public comments. I do not see anybody in the gallery. And so for that reason, we will move on. Next up, old business. There is no old business. Moving on to new business. We will start with Senate Communication 22-27, Senate Bill 22-03, Senate Draft 1, to amend 1 CMC 2892 to exempt the Northern Marianas Technical Institute as established by Public Law 2092 from oversight of the Grants Management Office and State Clearinghouse and for other purposes. Discussion. If I may share some things to note. There have been no opposing comments for this legislation. I kind of recommend passage as is with allowance for any technical amendments as needed. But there was only positive support for this bill from the grants office and from NMTI. There was nothing in opposition. Okay. Do I get a second? Or is that a motion, sir?
I move for passage.
All right, we have a motion to pass Senate Communication 22-27, Senate Bill 2203, Senate Draft 1, to amend 1 CMC 2892, 1, to exempt the Northern Marianas Technical Institute as established by Public Law 20-92 from oversight of the Office of Grants Management and State Clearinghouse and for other purposes. There was a second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. And the motion to adopt Senate Bill 2203, Senate Draft 1 is passed. Yay. Moving on to the next part of our agenda. Part B, Senate Communication 22-29, Senate Bill 22-18, Senate Draft 1, to waive the Northern Marianas College tuition for a veteran with 30% or greater service-connected disability and for other purposes. Comments received from NMC reaffirmed any changes that were made in the first committee meeting with the Senate. So the things that they recommended were corrected in the first draft, and they gave back comments that they were fine with this. They approved and agreed with the first comments. Veterans Affairs did not respond in the original committee meeting report, but they did get a chance to respond for us, and they also were in support of this. And I also recommend passage as is with allowance for any technical amendments as needed. Discussion, yes, recognize Representative Sheila Babauta.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I have read the comment received from NMC just recommending that given the amount of resources available to veterans, that they ask that a provision be included to guide veterans to take advantage of existing benefits, such as the Reserve Educational Assistance Program, the GI Bill program, the Veterans Educational Assistance Program, and the Survivors and Dependents Educational Assistance Program. So I'm grateful that NMC did share the all of the resources currently available to veterans. I'm just trying to find that language in the bill. So you did state that NMC reviewed this version.
Yes,
And so their recommendation was just to add language stating that, veterans take advantage of the existing benefits before they become eligible for the waiver that the bill aims to provide.
it would be found in more general language on page 2, line 27, section C,
I
that
see.
the tuition does not apply to a veteran who at the time is entitled to receive but did not apply for educational benefits under federal legislation that may be used only for the payment of tuition. I think that was the language that was added later in B and C, they said in the committee report, I believe. But they kept it more generalized, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
In a sense, to make sure that they exhaust all other options prior to requesting for this.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm ready to vote.
All right.
So I motion to adopt
Uh,
Senate Bill 22-18, Senate Draft 1. Oh, we have a,
yes, Representative Manglunia, go ahead.
I'm thinking maybe the rest of the members can chime in. I think we need to add another provision that states that maybe something along the lines where should the eligible veteran maybe fail a course or anything to that effect, that they would have to pay for the credit, rather, so that it doesn't get. I mean, I know there are certain scholarships or requirements for other funding sources that would require that if should an individual fail a course, that they would have to pay for the course or at least a certain portion of it, just so that we don't have someone keep taking classes and not trying to reach that goal of graduating and just trying to take all sorts of classes. Did that make sense? But I don't know. Something that maybe we can consider.
Thank you, Rep. Manglonia. Yes, that totally could be up for discussion. Having a provision to ensure that the courses are not just being, what do you call it? Are not going to completion. The effort is not getting done. Okay, so go ahead. Okay. So shall we include a different section for that? Because the section 102 is tuition waiver for veterans. So would we create a new section that would be titled something like, what do you recommend, Rep. Donald? Okay, so for
It's what's just one thing going on if other members go.
I hear a couple of supports. Yes, concept. Yes, Rep. Probst, do you have anything to add to that conversation? You're okay. All right. So, do you want to read the language out, and then I guess Cam, you got it going. Cam's got it. So maybe go ahead and read the language again, how you would like, and Cam can read it back to us. Is that in the language, Cam? Go ahead.
Well, so far what I got is this waiver shall not apply to any courses from which the veteran had withdrawn from after the withdrawal period and if the veteran fails to receive a passing grade after the semester.
But we can also, I mean,
He's working on language. I'm,
I think that was
Thank you, Rep. Manglonia. We are working on some language right now. Go ahead and read it for us.
This waiver shall not apply to any courses from which the veteran has withdrawn after the withdrawal period or any courses from which the veteran has failed to receive a passing grade, provided that this waiver may apply to courses where the veteran, with the permission of the relevant dean of his or her program, withdrew due to reasonable factors beyond his or her control.
Motion has been given. Is there a second? We have a second. Short recess? All right, thank you very much. So we have a motion to propose this amendment. It was seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those against say nay. Motion carries. So we have this amendment 102D. Another comment that I had received was that in section 103, the enrollment is specific only for associate's and bachelor's degrees. There was no mention about master's degrees, but is that something that we want to include?
UOG by taking 3 years at NMC and 1 year at UOG. And as a result of that, there are master's degrees as well being contemplated for NMC to issue in the CJ program. They do not exist currently, but that's in the works. So I was just wondering if that would be something the committee would consider, given the fact that we'd have to amend the legislation to allow the veterans to avail of that in the event that this program is successfully established. So just want to be like proactive. Like, I don't know if there's any rationale to limit it just to bachelor's or associates. I don't know what their rationale would be to prohibit them from pursuing a higher degree. Most of these veterans are generally more mature students, so they may have already acquired a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree. So I would think at their level of maturity, they'd be looking at masters and bachelors, too. So just wondering if we wanted to include that.
Thank you. I guess also thinking like what you said, this bill is kind of focused on NMC, and there were not very many master programs on the books. And so now knowing that there are future ones, maybe we don't want to close the door on that if that is opportunities that people could, gain from. So I'm in support of that.
I can ask a couple of questions.
I'm not quite aware of what other um, whatever consortiums, as you put it, exist. I'm only familiar with the NMC UOG 3+1 program, but there may be some other programs that exist with respect to maybe UH. I'm not sure, or some other programs in Micronesia involving other institutions of higher learning in Chuuk or perhaps some other islands. I know that with distance learning, there's a lot of effort being made to incorporate uh, colleges that are not just NMC or CNMI based. So I'm just looking, down the road. If there's a good reason for excluding master's programs, then so be it. But if, like I already know for sure that the master's program at NMC in the criminal justice program is being contemplated. So hopefully that becomes a reality soon. And if we don't see a good reason for restricting it to just bachelor's and associates, like why not add the term masters in there just to allow them that one more degree opportunity? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion?
The only reason why I asked that
I mean, I know that prior to as you say, the consortium existing, there's a program like certification where they actually look at what credits would be applicable from each respective institution. Like in CJ, the UOG course requiring Guam history, for instance, that's being waived, and NMC history is being used to replace it. So there's a process by which they agree to ahead of time usually, as to what credits are taken. But your main question is who's going to be eligible to take it. It's going to be a small population because we're talking about veterans with a 30% disability. There aren't a whole lot of veterans, but the ones that we're trying to help are the ones that need the most help, the 30% disability ones. So I think it's a really small population relative to the regular students that don't have any military background or don't have any disability. You need a military background and a disability, so that's a very small population, I think. So thank you.
Recognize Sheila Babauta.
That's something I wanted to clarify. So under definition, section 101, eligible veteran, if we read the language, eligible veteran means a CNMI resident who was an active member of the United States military, who served in active federal service under either Title 10 or Title 32 of the United States Code in a war or conflict fought on foreign soil or in international waters or in another location in support of those serving on foreign soil or in international waters, and if discharged from service, has received an honorable discharge and certified to have at least 30% disability as a result of serving in active military service. So the 30% disability, is that only if discharged from service?
It looks like VFW, like Veterans of Foreign Wars too. Right?
I would agree with your assessment. It's very, very specific and narrow.
So it's only if discharged from service, that veteran had to have received an honorable discharge and certified to have at least 30% disability, right?
And a disability resulting from the foreign war.
Of serving in active military service.
I'm reading like line 10, in a war or conflict fought on foreign soil or international waters or in another location in support of those serving on foreign soil. You know, 'cause you have veterans and you have VFW, Veterans Foreign War Veterans,
Mhm.
which are not the same. This is even a smaller,
Mhm.
smaller category.
And honorable discharge.
Right, definitely honorable. It's a really small population.
So then the eligible veteran must have been an active member of the U.S. military who served in war or conflict on foreign soil, or if discharged, received an honorable discharge and certified 30% disability.
I think it's all and, not or.
Yeah, I mean, those two are the, right, fought in a foreign war and if discharged
Honorably
honorably.
with a disability.
So I guess reservists would not be able to avail of this, for example, right? Because they're not active,
Mhm.
they're reserve. Short recess?
Depends, ma'am, because some of the reserve
Yeah. I want to thank Sergeant Toai for giving us a little bit more information about reserve statuses. And so I walk back my comment on reserve. It depends on how long you are activated. And basically, all of that information would be on, what is it called, sir? 214? The DD 214 would include all of their historical active or whatever statuses they had, which would include their disability at discharge, and so, and their wards, all of the things that would be part of their career in the service. So all that NMC would need is that document in order to see if a person was eligible. So did we motion to include that amendment in 103 or not? I'm sorry, I got a little lost. We're still talking about it? Yeah. All right, so we have a motion to include the master's degree in section 103. Legal counsel's working on it. Cameron's working on it, thank you. Can I get a second? And we're seconded by Dinita Yangtamai, Rep. Dinita, thank you. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. And the motion carries. We will include the amendment in section 103 to also include master's degrees. Thanks, guys. My usual note taker is no longer here, so I'm trying to get them all in. All right, continuing discussion. All right, I hear it ready. So short recess. And we are back from recess. Recognize Rep. Babauta.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I now motion to strike the language under Section 101, definitions, beginning on line 10, that states in a war or conflict fought on foreign soil or in international waters or in another location in support of those serving on foreign soil or in international waters. So move.
Can I hear a second?
Second.
Motion carries. I'm sorry. Discussion. Yes, Representative De Babauta.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So by removing this language, we will not restrict this tuition waiver to only those veterans who have fought in a war or conflict on foreign soil. Therefore, opening the opportunity to other veterans in our community. I'm ready to vote. Thank you.
Just one more.
Representative, recognize Representative Manglonia.
Thank you, Chair. So, all right, by removing that and with what's left, would these only apply to veterans that were discharged?
No.
Can veterans only if they
Yes, answer to your question is yes. You can be reassessed after discharge. They would have to be assessed.
after not discharged, but after they serve their time?
Yes. I'm a little familiar with that process only because my brother's going through it. And in order to get reassessed, you have to go through the VA and they do a bunch of paperwork.
The new language would be has received an honorable discharge and certified. Only with if they've been honorably discharged. Am I reading that correct? So someone who gets assessed later on won't avail the discharge?
I want to say that if they are not at 30% prior to their application process, then they probably wouldn't be able to avail of this. So in order to avail of it, they would have to be reassessed in order to be determined that they have that 30% disability. Go ahead. Recognize Rep. Babauta.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Rep. Manglonia, for requesting further clarification, and if legal counsel can chime in. So by removing this language, now eligible veteran means, number one, a CNMI resident who was an active member of the United States military. Number two, who served in active federal service under either Title 10 or Title 32 of the U.S. Code, and if discharged from service, received an honorable discharge and certified 30% disability.
That's correct.
So the honorable discharge and the certified 30% disability only applies if the veteran was discharged,
Right.
correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I think what Rep. Donald is trying to discern is, does it have to be simultaneous, certified 30% upon discharge, or can it be reassessed later on? We're not touching that
I
language,
see.
so I think it could be, he can be discharged at full, healthy, and then later on suffer disability and become certified 30% later on. That's perfectly fine as long as it's, at the time he gets the waiver, he's certified or she's certified disabled. It doesn't have to be disabled upon discharge.
I also just want to be mindful of the process of receiving, that assessment. for a disability, and working with the Veterans Office, which we get a lot of feedback that it's not as easy given, we don't have a clinic here. So we may want to consider has received an honorable discharge or certified to have at least 30% disability.
If you do that, they can just get discharged and be perfectly healthy.
Oh, I see.
If you want, you can put certified at any point. At any point might clear it up.
And not a 30%.
No, certified at
Oh,
any
I see.
point at 30%.
Can you only receive an honorable discharge with a disability?
No, you can be discharged without a disability.
Honorably?
Yeah. Are you talking about just to qualify here?
Yeah.
So to qualify here, as I read it, you can be discharged with or without a disability. As long as you get assessed the disability later on, you can qualify. You don't have to be simultaneously disabled and discharged.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the discharge and then come back to the VA later on and say, my back's hurting. Can you assess me now? And then they say, oh, you're 30%. And you don't say, oh man, I missed out on the waiver because I wasn't assessed before I discharged. Under this language, it seems like it doesn't have to be simultaneous.
I agree. Yeah.
You could put certified at any point to make it more clear, but I don't know if we need to make it more clear.
I yield. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you all. So we had a motion, we had a second. The motion was to remove language from the definition from line 10 in a WAR all the way to line 12, stopping at waters. We just had discussion. Are you ready to vote?
Ready.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. So we are amending the definition of eligible veteran. And so we continue. Any other discussion? We are ready. So go ahead, Representative Babauta, recognize.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I motion to pass Senate Bill 2218. I'm sorry, 2218, Senate Draft 1, House Draft 1.
Yes.
So move.
One.
We're within the same meeting. Whatever we make in one meeting is still one draft, sir.
We have a second and ready? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. And okay, let me try this. Senate Bill 2218 SD1 HD1 is adopted or passed. It's passed. Good job, guys. We will have the committee report reflect all the correct language. Okay, moving on to letter C. Senate Communication 22-37, Senate Bill 2205 SS, Senate Substitute 1, to establish a behavioral health professional scholarship and for other purposes. A little bit of information on that one. I did request more comments from the board, the licensing board, but I did not receive anything from them as of yesterday. I did review that. Sorry. Okay. So for this bill, the scholarship office did recommend a more specific time frame to return home, establishing the default timeline. in doing a little bit more research in that, I found a couple of issues related to the requirement of clinical supervision. From the hours that are required, they differ across programs. Oftentimes, private clinics are not allowable for most programs. And for clinical licensing, students need to really research if an agency here in the CNMI would meet the requirement for supervision, because reciprocity issues are a really big concern based on the experiences that I've solicited from some students who are currently pursuing these types of degrees without this scholarship. This bill also seems to preclude online options, but oftentimes those are most flexible for students, especially when we want to bring them home. PSS also comments that this is unclear with respect to the online access. Not to mention that for us, most online programs are required to take the licensing exam for this career pathway. And so there are quite a few issues that I don't feel are resolved yet to addressing this bill, and I would like to do more research on it personally. The Coalition of Private Schools. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. So for that reason, I wanted to ask from you who else we might be able to solicit comments from on this, or if you have any thoughts. So discussion.
Who did you solicit from again? Is it in here?
Comments were solicited from the Attorney General, from the CNMI Scholarship Office, from CHC, and the State Board of Education. That was who the Senate requested comments from. I requested for additional comments from the State Licensing Board because whoever would come home would have to be licensed through them. So I wanted to get more input from them about licensing in the CNMI with respect to this scholarship. The comments that I felt were really salient from the Board of Education really focused on the requirement of getting supervised clinical hours. It made me think, okay, I know someone who is also going through programs in America right now, and they were really struggling with aligning the programs that they wanted to take with the finding like an actual clinical supervisor who would be approved in their program. And so that coupled with the CNMI scholarship recommending that we put a more clear end date. So for example, if you graduate, you have to return home within 6 months. However, with respect to if we want our people to be clinically licensed, we need to know how much time it actually requires for them to get all of those supervision hours. And those are, I don't know enough about how that works, except that I know that it is different for different programs. So if we set a date that's 6 months, but some programs require 8 months and some programs require 10 months, we might be doing our students a disservice because they weren't afforded enough time to get to that actual end of the degree that we want them to. And so without having that information, I wouldn't feel comfortable moving forward without getting more about how the licensing part works. Because people can go to school, but the licensing part is a little bit more detail oriented that I don't think is addressed with the bill that we have so far. Does that make sense? Yeah, like you have to take your bar exam, and how long it takes you to take your bar exam is on you. And yes, so those are some things that I'm not clear yet. Any other discussion?
Madam Chair,
Recognize Sheila Vavata.
I also see that there are no comments received from NMC, and I'm just thinking that the educational institutions might be able to provide perspective as well. Just based on their network, based on their knowledge of requirements and time frames. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will make a request to NMC to comment on this. Is there any other places I should request? Recognize Denise Youngtown.
How about OVR and the hospital? CHCC?
The hospital did send comments, and they do agree that we need to support scholarships like this because of lack of human resources here. Absolutely. The recommendation that they gave in their comment was already incorporated into the bill to allow for the student to work in any other CNMI government agency that requires behavioral health professions. So it was addressed, but it wasn't specific to the clinical supervision part. So maybe that I need to re-ask for questions based on the clinical supervision. No? Okay.
Sorry.
So recognize, go ahead.
I don't know. OVR, is that the guidance center or something, or yeah?
Office of Vocational Rehabilitation.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Or-
You mean CGC?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think they were requested for comment. I can ask for sure.
Thank you.
Any other recommended comment requesting agencies? Ready. So yes, can I get a motion to table this bill for now? Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion to table Senate Bill 2205, Senate Substitute 1, to receive further comments. Discussion? Ready? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. So we are tabling Senate Bill 2205, Senate Substitute 1 for further comments. If there are any other agencies that come to mind after our meeting, please send it to me in the chat. Moving on our agenda to Senate Communication 22-38, Senate Bill 22-8, Senate Substitute 1, to enact the CNMI Higher Education Act of 2021 and for other purposes. For this bill in particular, I also kind of feel that I would like to receive more comments and like to ask for you all to give me input on who we can request for comments. In particular, in reading, I mean, it's a very substantial bill that will meet the constitutional requirement. However, we also want to make sure that the processes that are outlined in this will not we'll address the issues that are needed to, but also not create other issues. And so one of those in the comments received from the Coalition of Private Schools, they made some really good points. And so I would like to ask the committee to review those in general. And if you can also give any other areas that we may reach out for comment, I would love to listen to that. So discussion. Recognize Sheila Vata.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do see in the committee report that comments were solicited from UConn International University, CNMI State BOE, non-public school representative, the Office of the AG, and the NMC Board of Regents, and interim president. We did not receive comments from the Office of the Attorney General and the NMC Board of Regents and Interim President, and I think those comments would be very helpful. So I would like for us to go ahead and resubmit a request for comment from these two agencies and the public school system. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Abata. I did request and follow up with both of those, just so you know. I met one of the attorney generals at lunch yesterday, and verbally she said it's okay, but I will ask for it in writing. With respect to the Board of Regents, I did send it out to them, but they need more time. They actually emailed me this morning, so I will go send it out to them again, or I will give them time to do it. Are there any other people that we want to request for comment? You mentioned PSS. This is the reason why they didn't request, and it was something that I read in there, was that because it's a the Higher Education Act, it is not for the primary and secondary school. So that was kind of why they didn't ask PSS. Should we still ask PSS?
Well, in my opinion, education organizations and institutions work together or should work together, right? Regardless of secondary, primary, higher education. So I think feedback from PSS would be helpful.
So noted. I will reach out to them too. Anybody else?
How about, oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Go ahead. You're so
Um,
recognized.
I don't think comments were solicited from NMTI. If
I think you are right. I will include NMTI. Okay.
Madam Chair,
Recognize Rep. Sheila Babauta.
also just thinking about how higher education really intends to support our workforce. And so I'm thinking that maybe the Department of Labor, the Department of Commerce, Office of Personnel Management, I'm not sure if they would be able to provide some feedback on the language pertaining to programs leading to licensed professions and just the need, the workforce need, if that would be applicable to this.
Good
this bill.
points. Thank you.
Mhm.
Good points. Thank you. Any other recommendations to reach out for comment? Not for this part. CGC was mentioned for the earlier one. Should we include CGC as well? Okay, go ahead, Rep. Mangalonia. Okay, thank you. Okay. So we have added to our list to request for comments AG, NMC, and the Board of Regents, PSS, NMTI, Department of Labor, Commerce, OPM, and the Licensing Board. Did you want to include CGC in this one, Rep. Donald, or no?
No, sorry, I had the other file.
Copy. Recognized Rep. Yang Tamai.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Is this only for CGC's Grace? Grace Christian? Oh, no. Okay. So is this only for government agencies? Because here it also has something about seminary or religious training institutions. So should we include?
So basically what this bill would be doing is from our constitution, technically we're supposed to create a higher education licensing board in the event that we have multiple colleges that would be popping up, which would include seminary school if that was an option that wanted to come here. It would include private schools. Basically, it would be like a board to ensure that anybody who is in the CNMI providing higher education meets certain standards. To me, it sounds a lot like another type of accreditation, which is what I'm also trying to digest and thinking about how extensive and like accreditation through recognized, national standards is an extremely, gosh, I can't even find the words. It's a really long and difficult process that requires so much documentation. And so this type of thing on top of that, I wonder how much of it would be duplicating efforts of accrediting bodies. But I wonder at the time of the framers, when they were creating this part of our constitution, maybe we didn't have WASC and advanced ed and all of those other accreditation agencies that are out there. I'm not 100% certain, which is why I feel that tabling this bill would be good to get more information on that. But also it's a little bit urgent because by not having this part of our system in creation, it does hold back some entities that could otherwise apply for certain funds because we don't have this in place. It's kind of a Pandora's box in some sense, but I just think we need more information. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Rep. I yield.
So can I get a motion to table this bill to get more input from those entities that we discussed? I hear a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. So we have a motion to table Senate Bill 2208, Senate Substitute 1, to receive more feedback. It was seconded. Are you ready? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Senate Bill 2208, Senate Substitute 1 is tabled while we get more information. Thank you, everyone. We are now moving on into the agenda of discussion. Representative Babalta.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do we know when we'll be having our next education meeting?
Good question. I did not make a plan yet, but I was thinking to give everyone about 2 weeks to get feedback on that.
Okay,
Is that okay? 2 to 3 weeks at latest.
okay, so we're looking at the last week of September or early October.
Yes.
Okay, to give them a few weeks to comment.
Yes, because it's
Yeah,
a
I think
really
that would
long
be-
bill.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
I have no objection to that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. So any other discussion? I will aim for afternoons. Thank you. Moving on to announcements. Any announcements? All right. Recognize Rep. Probst.
I just wanted to share with the chair and our committee and the viewing public about the passing of Klaus Beer, who worked with NMTI and who did so much for NMTI over the years. He is going to be deeply missed and very sad. He's also a neighbor, a very dear friend, and I just feel that not in his capacity at NMTI. So just wanted to say that, and that we're praying for his son and his family. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Probst. Any other announcements? Ready? Can I get a motion to adjourn? We have a motion to adjourn. It's seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, you may stay. Thank you all for coming to education meeting today.